Hi everybody, Tracy Brown. Happy Friday, live at least. If you're listening to the replay, just happy you take the time to listen to this. And this, you may have read in the descriptor there, this stuff is really important to me. Just this idea of us recognizing the form. We use food to try to help ourselves in, or the function of how we use food to help ourselves function in. And so I'm not saying, when I say food, I mean restricting, binging, over-exercising, not getting moving when we would want to, whatever forms. And so I guess what I want to talk about is in this work, our primary task is actually finding ways in which we can reparent ourselves. And sometimes the reparenting is just going to come in recognizing how we're using our food to try to help ourselves when we don't have the resources to know how, or we don't feel like that we deserve to be well or feel okay, or to fill up our lives with something else, or trust that we can fill up our lives with something else besides food as help, healing, protector, safety, whatever it is. And this reparenting is what it's about. So it's not that we don't recognize that sometimes we need help, because reparenting isn't about we're being so self-reliant that we don't let people help us. It's that we do the both and, like getting really clear about, okay, this is how this eating thing, dieting or whatever it is, has helped me, yet I can't let this run the show if I want to fully live my life. As hard as it is maybe to do the things that we want to do, or to trust the things that we maybe might be more helpful. So when we're thinking, like, when I think about, if, let's say we're not going to go on a diet anymore, we're done. We decided we're going to give up dieting. As hard as that is, that's an act of reparenting, because I could always go, it's like I could go back to what I know, but I just don't want to go back there anymore. And that will feel really hard, because there's a bedrock of kind of how we know how to be in the world doing that. And so that's going to feel scary. And so when a young one feels scared, what do? I mean, most good adults, good enough adults at least, even if they're not used to that, kind of know, like, well, probably what the healthiest good thing to do is you bring comfort, you bring non-judgment and compassion and hope to the part of yourself that doesn't know how to maybe take all that in, or to do it, or to receive it, and you break it into smaller pieces. So if not going on a diet feels really hard, or really disorganizing, or whatever, we start with a first step, which is, okay, so what can I do? And maybe that means that I eat regularly and I eat what I can give myself to do. Even if it's not like perfectly attuned yet, or it's not a huge variety, it's not so much the point. It's more about, here's just something different I'm doing that's leaning in the direction of being more honoring and respecting of myself, even if that doesn't feel normal to do. Because what happens is, when we're struggling and we know what to do, but it's hard to do what we do, and we keep pushing that part away, the thing that's so difficult is abandoning our own suffering. So if you're struggling with letting go of dieting, or not hating your body, or whatever it is, let's say they're struggling with, like, I know that I want to not hate my body anymore, but I don't know how. It's okay. So we don't want to abandon the part of us that feels hurtful too, but you can still acknowledge that it's really hard to do. And so that's just first step. So I'm not trying to sound confusing or conflicting. It's, you have to start where you are. Like, I'm having a really hard time hating my body less. Okay, so don't abandon that part, and don't make yourself bad or wrong for not getting with the I should like myself bandwagon. It's, this is really hard to not be okay with to let go of not being okay with myself, because I feel like I'm letting something go or whatever. So you acknowledge that, and maybe at the end of the day, it's more about, the best I can do right now is not abandon myself in any of those kind of ways. So hope I'm not being too all over the place with this, because it's kind of a confusing thing, but sometimes the best we can do is even recognize, I'm kind of restricting right now, and I know that's not like the thing that's in my highest good, but that's what I'm doing, so I'm not going to like add judgment on top of what I'm struggling with. And I think that's a really first step. I think once we can acknowledge that, it opens up some space to like, you know what? The thing that I can get my adult self to do is just to acknowledge it, and what is one little step I can do, which maybe I'll restrict less, or maybe I will entertain the idea that other people, really don't judge my body. It's just mostly me judging me, because that's kind of what I expect from myself, or what I've expected in the past. And right now that's actually not happening. So can I just acknowledge all that? And that's actually one step in being with ourselves. If you are experiencing times where people may be judging you, when you're getting medical shame or whatever's happening, recognize that, like, even though if that's not happening, that's not your body's fault. It's not actually even your problem, even though it's a major problem, because now you have to deal with it. But that doesn't mean that we have to agree. And so that may be the first step, is just because you're getting that in your face doesn't mean that you have a wrong body or whatever it is. So I just want to give us this little, as we're going into this holiday week, as we're going into just busier times of year that are coming up, I want you to remind yourself that don't abandon yourself in whatever feels difficult. That's the whole point of this. And however way you're using food or body talk or dissatisfaction to try to help yourself, know that you're just one step away from a more nourishing, reparenting way of doing it. And that's what I'm asking you to look into, is take some time today, this weekend, whenever you're listening to this, and write out one way in which you recognize how you're using food or body talk or whatever to help yourself, and what would be a more reparenting kind of way to be with whatever's coming up. Even if nobody even if you believe that nobody else on the planet could get it, because this is really about your life, and not just about thriving in your life or believing that's even possible, but it can actually save your life. And so that feels really important. So I know this is kind of a heavy topic for a Friday, but I just want to bring it up because it just feels like I feel a lot of people have come to me this week around, things have been hard. A lot of things have come up, whether it's with food, body, lots of tasks, lots of overwhelm, lots of stress. I want you to take a time to, one, look back over the last couple months, like let's say since August, and see the millimeters of maybe progress you've made, or see the one place where it's like, I'm a lot more body aware than I have been. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm a lot more body aware. And maybe you can congratulate yourself. Maybe that it's okay to congratulate yourself. I'm a lot more body aware. I don't always love it, but I'm doing it, and that's more embodied, which is what I've been saying I wanted for one day, 1 week, 1 year, 10 years. And congratulate that. And if there's a place in you that feels good about that, let's hang out there for as long as it feels good, whether it's 1 minute, 1 hour, whatever. So hope this is a little bit of recognition. I want this to be a video of recognition for yourself, of retaking, and I talk about compassion a lot, but really sinking in to doing that for yourself versus any kind of commercialized version of that, and just this compassion. You know what? I am 1 centimeter closer to what I feel like I'd like my life to look like. And sometimes that's just a matter of like, I was triggered less this week or this last 3 months or whatever it is. That's a reparenting, kind way of being with yourself. So thank you so much. And please comment, tag me if you have questions. next week I'm going to be definitely alive and well on Facebook Live, even though it's Thanksgiving week. I don't know how many videos I'll do, probably at least 2. I think I do want to pop on probably on Wednesday. I'm not sure what time of day, probably the afternoon sometime. That's what I'm thinking, to do a little pre-Thanksgiving. If you need any support, I'm going to have a question and answer, so I'm going to be on. Hopefully people are on. If you need more support, you all know you can go to my website, and I have a little mini hour course that might bring you lots of preparedness, but I've been talking about that a lot this month, so hope that's helpful if you need it. And I think that's it for today. I will talk to you all soon. If this is live, thank you so much for coming live. If you're listening to it a different day, different time, this video is going to be hopefully timeless for you no matter where you're at. So you can always go back to this video in a month, in 3 months, and see where you're at, what shifted, what hasn't yet, how you can be compassionate about that, but definitely reflect on, is there a place in me that feels good, and how might I still be using food or weight talk to help myself? With non-judgment, reflect on that, and understand that your primary task at that juncture is to see where you actually have resources to help you, and if there's any block to allowing yourself to have those or use those. All right. And if you notice it, tell me about it. I want to hear your successes. I want to hear maybe where you feel stuck, and if I can give you some feedback, I'd be happy to with your invitation. So thanks so much, and talk to you all soon. Thanks.